Hey guys, it's me, EODGamerz here, your market analyst for Path of Exile 2. Now, one of the biggest things that I face is in Path of Exile, the biggest problems is when I try to get information of current market prices and stuff like that, it's so tedious to click one by one into every single thing just for me to get some information. And secondly, we don't even have historic data, so I can't really compare from prices to prices. I don't really know because this is just a snapshot price, right? Mirror of Kalandra. I can't remember unless, of course, every day I play and I check the market for hours and hours on end. Then I know that Mirror of Kalandra went from 200 to 300 to 400 within the matter of a week. So what I actually wanted to do is I wanted to collect all this information and put it in a very nice format for us as well. So that all you just need to do is watch a video, you can get up to date the speed, you can know the trend, the history and everything like that. And that's where I think that we will position ourselves on the channel moving forward. And this is important because anything that happens from here will likely apply to the future standard version once it goes update, and you can kind of see trends, so you are able to get into the market earlier than everyone else. Now this chart is something that I actually plotted. There's a lot that I'm going to share with you, and we will see some of the items that are pumping as well. But one of the biggest downsides of Path of Exile 2 current scape is I can't really see what's the inflation like, how is the game progressing. For example, if let's say this is of course hypothetical dates past the today's date, but if I wanted to know, if let's say GGG nerfs something, they introduce a new class, they introduce swords, how does it affect the economy? Does inflation generally going up? So how to read this curve is if the bar is going upwards, means that there's inflation. The base is of course Divine Ops. I use Divine instead of Exalted because the currency is much more manageable and you can start to see a lot more expensive items in Divines. Whereas if you try to search like Mirror of Kalandra with Exalted, you don't get any results at all in terms of the number. So over here you can see this is the actual date so far, and every time, every week or every significant update, I'll be sharing with you guys as well the trend stuff that's going on. It's a lot of work because I have to update the guide as well and make the video, but that's kind of like my job. You guys subscribing and supporting me is more than enough. Thank you so much again. If you haven't subscribed, make sure you do so you can get this market information fed to you as well. We can see here within the last 2 days since I built the spreadsheet, there is a massive pump in inflation going on right now and people are crowding into certain items. What are these items? Of course, I have data that is being set down. These are the items that I feed into the inflation index. There might be more, but for now, I just take the key ones. For example, the key ones, the most expensive ones from so-called Deliriums, the most expensive one for Omens as a representative. I give them special weighting based on my adjustments as well. So items that have very low liquidity, for example, your Chase Uniques, like your Astramantis, Temporalis, Headhunter, Ingenuity, Dream Fragments, all these stuff I give very low weightage in the inflation index because one, there's very low liquidity anyway, and two, of course, you don't really have, for example, much certainty whether buff and nerf might swing the thing very huge. I don't want the inflation index to be super massive. So this is a quick snapshot. It tells us how is the market doing on a day-to-day. Are things getting more expensive? Are things getting cheaper? And it's good analysis for us to see what's going wrong, especially when we have big patches coming up. So right now, what we are seeing, of course, these numbers is super boring, right? Looking at just digits on the screen, you can't really tell what's going up or what's going down. So I actually went to color code it for us over here. These dates are, of course, hypothetical. I just wanted to show you the power of these spreadsheet as well, how it's going to scale with time, the value that we will bring as a channel to you guys to help, because you guys want to fight monsters, right? You don't want to be reading all these boring stuff on market and stuff like that. So we're going to provide all this information and analysis for you guys as well. Right now, what I'm seeing is there is a huge, massive move in certain uniques. For example, like Astramantis, in the span of 1 day, it could be market thinning because there's lack of supply, maybe timing issue, more people are playing Gemling Legionnaire and stuff like that, but it's moved up 40% from 100 plus the day before. Now it's 130, 140. Is very, very expensive right now. And the reason why Astramantis is probably one of the most expensive one is because it wasn't exposed to the dupe problem that was in the game, a boss duping problem. So for those of you who don't really know what happened, there's basically this portal that you can have in many infinite instances to fight the boss. So you can get a lot of boss drops. For example, Temporalis, Ingenuity as well. These became super cheap. So god tier items became super affordable. Over here, we also show you the price. So you can see that Ingenuity went down from like, I don't know, 40 plus initially, and then it came down to 18. The I don't know is actually solved with this sheet as well, because from now on, I'll be tracking the market, and then we can see how the market evolves so that when it goes to official standard, not just early access, we can predict patterns and are able to draw on some past conclusions. Because history never repeats itself, but it does often rhyme. So that's what I want to do to make us a lot of money when it goes official. And all the other people who join in standard, once the game goes live, they won't have access to all these back information. I want to provide it to all of us as well. So that Ingenuity here, a part of the dupe, went very low. Temporalis, also part of the dupe problem, went very, very low as well. But we are noticing some trends, and that is, of course, it's starting to climb a little bit. So you can see Temporalis actually went up by 20% in a day. Maybe it's because the thing has been patched. It's still a very, very good item, and a lot of people are now like crowding into the space. Belts, for example, like Headhunter and Ingenuity are relatively stable over the past few days. We could see it change depending whether there's a buff or a nerf. Dream Fragments is a bit stable, it's getting a bit cheaper. But one of the biggest problems with like uniques that are in the market is if they slap on a nerf, for example, to Gambling Legionnaire, who relies heavily on Astra Mantis for their stat stacking, or perhaps they nerf Temporalis, they nerf the infinite blink that Temporalis provides, might lower the prices very, very significantly. We want to see what GGG does and how it affects the market as well. Stuff that are relatively neutral, as I Headhunter, Ingenuity, not really exposed to much because they are very, very generalistic. Most classes can use these two. Dream Fragments, on the other hand, is very, very heavily exposed to the current Spark Archmage meta as well, where people like need a lot of mana and stuff like that. I'm a Deadeye myself, so I don't really play into any of these. Probably the only thing that I care too much about is like Ingenuity and Headhunter. But that is just for you guys who play other classes, some of the market movements that are going on. Now, very importantly also, whenever we are considering stuff, we want to look at the prices in terms of other currencies, other craftables in the perspective of Divine Orbs. This tells us the health of the economy, because if certain things are moving up, certain things are moving down, you get generally a trend, but you won't see as much of a big shift in certain items in this category compared to the uniques, compared to the gear and stuff like that. So one thing that I am noticing over here is that Mirror of Kalandra has gradually been getting more expensive. Omen of Whittling is getting more expensive. Soul Core of Azkaban, of course, we know that it had a recent pump as well based on the previous videos that we put out on the channel. But now it's like kind of like stabilizing, not really getting too much more expensive. One reason for this fact is I think that Mirror of Kalandra, a lot of people are using it as to craft godly gear now that a lot of us have access to that endgame gear, godly gear. At the same time, it's a very nice hedge for inflation. So people who are like massive whales, have a lot of resources, maybe their friends give them the currency or they get it from many places. A lot of them might want to hide in Mirror of Kalandra as well. And we can see that the prices are moving very quickly. If in future it goes to standard, if you have resources, get a Mirror of Kalandra, basically your net worth will just continuously going up. That's a good lesson for us for the future as well. On top of that, Perfect Jeweler Orb has actually been getting slightly cheaper over the period of time, especially like past the 1 week, 2 weeks, 3 months. I do think it's because there's not really much need to force a 6 link for every single skill. And as we are getting more and more characters to the end game now, people don't really need to pick up Perfect Jeweler Orbs as much. For example, Deadeye, my class, I don't even need a Perfect Jeweler node. I can run everything with like 5 link and it's perfectly fine. So over time, it does have a trend. Perfect Jeweler Orb likely is going to get cheaper over time, but we will notice, especially once we have more data. The game has only been out for like a month and stuff, so it's very, very nice to have a snapshot right now of what happened so far. Other than that, Exalted, Chaos, not too much change, which is expected because these are all currencies that are used in crafting and stuff like that. Omen of Withing, as I believe is more people are doing crafting, this is the one that allows you to remove the lowest level modifier as well, which is very, very strong. As more and more people are getting into crafting, the limited supply of Omen of Whittling also probably is pushing up the prices. We likely might see this one going up a bit more. Soul Core of Azkaban, of course, didn't really change much and is very exposed to the whole entire rarity meta, which might get hit with a nerf, but that's something that we want to see. Distill Isolation, I just put it into track as well because it's part of the demand and supply for the Delirium aspect. Not really much to comment here, but more importantly, I think right now what I'm watching here is I see nice graphs like this, right? Of course, this data point is the one that is up to relevant. The rest of them is just projected. This tracks very nice deviations. What we want to see is, are there any buffs, nerfs? What is happening in the near term? If, for example, this week, maybe next week, GGG came back from holiday, they decided to launch a nerf, some stuff prices are going down, what I am actually watching is how it affects the market. It is certain things doing better, is certain things doing worse, are stuff that I hit will go down, and we know that there are going to be new classes in the game. They only release half of the roster, so with new classes, what are some things that might be benefit from it, what things might be exposed? Hopefully we can get in on it early to make some money as well. These are some thoughts, and with a historic price trend, a tracker of inflation, we'll be able to see very easily what moves based on what news, so that we can take advantage a bit more. And don't worry guys, it might be a lot of stuff, but I will spoon feed you all the content as well. I'll give you all the analysis. I'm just here to share with you the power that we have, the tools that we have, so that we can help us make a much more informed decision rather than like manually clicking one by one, right? No one has like time for that. As of course we mentioned already, player base progress to end game. Now we see certain items being less valuable. Some stuff may not do as well. And of course you have certain things like maybe Soul Core of Escapa gets nerfed, your bug fixers, Temporalis, Ingenuity. These items might go back to where it was in the near term. In that sense, your stuff that has been duplicated but are still very desirable might slowly get more expensive in time as the supply is cut. And of course, if you found this video helpful, this is of course an inflation index. This is how I crafted it. It's a basket of goods that we put in together. It's just adjusted for my own formula. If you found this video helpful, like, comment, and subscribe for more of such future information. Don't forget to have the notification bell turned on. I'll do this every week. I try to, or at least when there's a significant market news, and I'll show you how it impacts the market as well. If you want to know more of such market analysis, stay tuned to the channel. Check out these two other videos where we talk about trading as well, and see you guys in the next video.